Imagine sitting in your living room, turning on the television, and hearing one of Hollywood's most respected stars, now 80 years old, make a shocking confession. Asterisk, he was the only one who did that to me. Asterisk, the words hang in the air, unsettling, mysterious, and leaving millions of fans questioning what he truly meant. And before the dust even settles, another revelation makes its way into the spotlight. At 85, the ex-wife of another Hollywood icon steps forward with her own startling claim, alleging that there was a secret and deeply troubling connection with none other than Paul Newman, the legendary actor admired for his charm, his blue eyes, and his golden reputation. Suddenly, two of the most admired men in American film history are pulled into a storm of rumors and confessions that no one saw coming. But here's the pressing question. Are these statements genuine revelations, or are they the latest examples of how celebrity gossip can twist reality into something unrecognizable? In a world where headlines are often crafted to shock rather than inform, how do we separate the truth from exaggeration, or worse, outright fabrication? Before diving into the details, let's pause and take in the magnitude of the names involved. Tom Selleck, the rugged star of Magnum, Pet and Blue Bloods whose integrity and quiet charm have made him a household name for decades. Robert Redford, the Sundance Kid himself, actor, director, activist, and one of the great storytellers of American cinema. Paul Newman, beloved for his brilliance on screen, his philanthropy, and his enduring place as one of Hollywood's true gentlemen. And then there's Lola Van Wagenen, not just Redford's former wife, but a woman with her own story of activism, history, and independence. Picture a quick montage flashing across the screen. Selleck with his signature mustache, Redford and Newman together in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid *, Lola Van Wagenen in her younger years as she stood beside Redford at the height of his fame. These images don't just stir nostalgia, they frame the very mystery we're about to explore. So the question stands, what is real and what is nothing more than a carefully crafted illusion? Today, we're going to dig into the evidence, examine the stories that have been told, and uncover what you should actually believe about these dramatic claims. And to unravel it all, we begin at the start of this tale, with the man whose quiet dignity has kept him respected for decades. Let's start with Tom Selleck. Tom Selleck was born on January 29, 1945, in Detroit, Michigan, before his family moved to Sherman Oaks, California, where he grew up. He was the second of 4 children, raised in a middle-class household that valued hard work and modesty. As a teenager, Selleck excelled in sports, eventually earning a basketball scholarship to the University of Southern California. His original plan was to pursue business, but life had a different path in store. While at USC, his striking looks and commanding presence caught the attention of a talent scout, and soon Selleck found himself studying acting at the Beverly Hills Playhouse under Milton Katzelaars. His early years in Hollywood weren't easy. He appeared in commercials, bit parts, and even as a contestant on the dating game before landing more significant opportunities. His breakthrough came in 1980 when he was cast as Thomas Magnum in the CBS television series Magnum. The role of the charming, laid-back private investigator in Hawaii, complete with Selleck's iconic mustache, Hawaiian shirts, and Ferrari, made him a household name. The series was a massive success, running for 8 seasons and earning him both an Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series and international fame. Decades later, Selleck found renewed success with a different generation of fans when he took on the role of Frank Reagan, the stern yet compassionate New York police commissioner in the long-running CBS series Blue Bloods star. The role reinforced his reputation as a symbol of strength, integrity, and stability on screen. Beyond his acting achievements, Tom Selleck built a public persona that set him apart from many of his Hollywood peers. While others embraced constant publicity, scandals, or political controversies, Selleck remained grounded. Known for being dignified, respectful, and reserved, he developed a reputation as one of Hollywood's most private figures, often preferring to let his work speak for itself rather than chase headlines. His personal life reflected that same desire for balance and stability. Selleck married actress Jacqueline Ray in 1971, and during their marriage, he adopted her son, Kevin Shepard. However, the marriage ended in divorce in 1982. In 1987, he married Jilly Joan Mack, a British actress and dancer he met during a performance of the musical Cat Star. The couple welcomed their daughter, Hannah, in 1988, and their marriage has endured for nearly 4 decades, a rare success story in Hollywood's often turbulent world of relationships. Away from cameras and red carpets, Selleck chose a quieter, more fulfilling lifestyle. He purchased a ranch in Ventura County, California, where he raises horses and tends to avocado groves. He has often spoken about how this environment keeps him grounded, allowing him to focus on family and personal passions instead of the relentless pace of Hollywood. His retreat to the ranch underscores not only his preference for privacy but also his desire to live authentically, far from the artificial glamour that defines much of the entertainment industry. It is this combination of career triumphs, personal dignity, and steadfast values that makes any word spoken by Tom Selleck carry extraordinary weight. At 80 years old, after decades of carefully maintaining his integrity and privacy, a confession or emotional revelation from him is not easily dismissed as rumor or exaggeration. It demands attention, because Tom Selleck has built a life and a reputation on truth, discretion, and honor. At age 80, Tom Selleck's name still carries the weight of dignity, privacy, and integrity. So, when a headline claims he suddenly confessed, "He was the only one who did that to me," it instantly feels explosive. It hints at a private story, a hidden truth that could shatter the calm, steady image fans have carried for decades. But here's the question: did Tom Selleck ever actually say this? The reality is, no credible record exists of Selleck making such a statement. There are no reputable interviews, memoirs, or verified transcripts that contain this exact phrase. Instead, what we find are carefully worded stories about his career choices, his family, his health, and his guarded approach to fame. For instance, he has admitted to small but surprising details, like once considering shaving off his trademark mustache during his work on Blue Bloods, only to be advised against it. To fans, even that was called a shocking confession. This shows how the media often inflates minor admissions into dramatic revelations. Meanwhile, dramatic headlines and viral video titles feed into this culture of exaggeration. A phrase like "at 80, Tom Selleck's emotional confession" appears in online spaces, but when you look closer, there is rarely a source behind it. These are carefully crafted to spark curiosity, even if there's no substance underneath. They rely on the audience's desire to believe in scandal or hidden truths, especially when it involves beloved stars of Hollywood's golden years. And that's where the danger lies. Rumors can quickly take on a life of their own. Someone misquotes a line, an editor rephrases it to be more dramatic, and before long, it spreads as though it were fact. If Selleck had ever truly made such a powerful statement, it would have been echoed across major newspapers, television interviews, and trusted biographies. The silence of those outlets speaks volumes. So what should we take from this? First, the claim remains unverified, and perhaps entirely false. Second, it reveals just how quickly celebrity culture can turn whispers into headlines. And finally, it reminds us of who Tom Selleck really is, a man who values his privacy, who has lived much of his life away from Hollywood's glare on a California ranch, and who rarely exposes personal secrets to the public. If such a confession did exist, it would have been entirely out of character, and that's what makes it both fascinating and suspicious. In the end, the quote itself may be nothing more than clickbait. But the fact that people believe it shows the lasting power of mystery around Tom Selleck. At 80, he remains a figure people want to uncover, even if the truth is far quieter than the headlines suggest. Robert Redford was born on August 18, 1936, in Santa Monica, California. He grew up in a modest household and initially pursued sports, even attending the University of Colorado on a baseball scholarship. However, his life took a turn when he left college and traveled through Europe, an experience that sparked his artistic sensibilities. Upon returning to the United States, he studied painting before eventually enrolling in drama classes, which led him to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. That decision launched one of Hollywood's most enduring careers. Redford went on to star in films that defined a generation, including Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid (1969), The Sting (1973), and All the President's Men (1976). His natural charisma and everyman appeal made him one of the most bankable stars of the 1970s. Beyond acting, he built a reputation as a respected director, winning the Academy Award for Best Director for Ordinary People in 1980. His commitment extended outside film too. He became an outspoken environmentalist and the founder of the Sundance Institute and Sundance Film Festival, both of which changed the landscape for independent cinema. Redford's personal life, however, was often shielded from the spotlight. He married historian and activist Lola Van Wagenen on August 9, 1958. Their marriage began when Redford was still an emerging actor, and the couple built a family together. They welcomed 4 children: Scott Anthony, Shauna Jean, David James, and Amy Hart. Their joy was tempered by tragedy when their first child, Scott, died as an infant of sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS, just a few months after his birth. This devastating loss left a permanent mark on the family but also deepened the couple's bond during those early years. Despite the tragedy, the Redfords carried on with their growing family. Shauna became an artist, David worked as a filmmaker, and Amy pursued creative projects of her own. Family always played an important role in Robert Redford's life, even as his acting career soared and eventually turned him into an international star. Lola, meanwhile, continued her own pursuits, earning degrees and contributing to causes related to history, women's rights, and social issues. But by the early 1980s, the marriage had begun to falter. Reports suggest that Redford and Van Wagenen were living apart during this time, with his intense career demands and their evolving lives creating distance. The exact timeline of their separation and divorce has some ambiguity, but sources agree that the marriage came to an end in the mid-1980s after nearly 3 decades together. While some accounts point to the early 1980s as the time of their separation, official divorce details are less clearly documented. What is clear is that both Redford and Van Wagenen expressed a sense of respect for one another even after their marriage concluded. Redford himself later commented that the relationship had simply reached its natural end and spoke of Lola with appreciation for the life they shared and the family they built. Years later, Redford found love again. In 2009, he married German-born artist Sibylle Sagers in Hamburg, Germany, after more than a decade of companionship. Unlike his first marriage, which played out during the most public period of his career, his relationship with Sibylle has been much more private and reflective, aligning with Redford's later life commitment to quieter living and selective projects. Through his marriages and personal choices, Robert Redford demonstrated the same qualities that defined his career: integrity, passion, and a pursuit of meaning. His union with Lola Van Wagenen marked the formative years of his personal life, marked by both joy and tragedy, while his later marriage to Sibylle Sagers reflected the calm, seasoned wisdom of a man who had lived through the peaks and valleys of fame and family life. Lola Van Wagenen was born on December 19, 1938, in Provo, Utah. Raised in a Mormon family, her early life reflected the traditions and expectations of the time, but her personal journey would ultimately take her far beyond the conventional roles many around her followed. In the late 1950s, while living in Los Angeles, she crossed paths with a young, ambitious actor named Robert Redford. Their meeting in 1957 marked the beginning of a relationship that would soon carry both of them into the public eye. Just a year later, in 1958, the two married, starting a partnership that balanced Hollywood fame with a deep commitment to family and personal growth. While Robert Redford's career soared in front of the cameras, Lola carved her own path in education and activism. For years she dedicated herself to her family, but after the couple separated, she began pursuing academic goals that reflected her lifelong passion for history. In 1982, she earned a bachelor's degree from Vermont College, followed by a master's and a PhD in American history from New York University. Her scholarly focus gave her a platform to explore American cultural narratives, particularly those tied to women's roles and overlooked stories in the nation's past. Her education naturally connected to her work as an activist and public advocate. In 1970, even while raising her family, Van Wagenen co-founded Consumer Action Now, an organization focused on raising public awareness about environmental and consumer issues. The group championed campaigns that encouraged Americans to think critically about consumption, energy, and sustainability, topics that are still relevant decades later. In 1995, her passion for education and storytelling led her to establish Clio Visualizing History Incorporated, a non-profit dedicated to promoting history education through innovative media projects. With Clio, she sought to make history accessible to broader audiences, ensuring that complex ideas and overlooked perspectives could reach classrooms, communities, and individuals who might otherwise never engage with them. Van Wagenen's creative output also extended into film. She served as an executive producer on projects such as Miss America, a documentary film which explored the cultural meaning of the iconic beauty pageant, and The State of Marriage a documentary about Vermont's pioneering role in legalizing same-sex unions. These works reflected her interest in how American society evolves, how individuals fight for change, and how history is told and remembered. Her personal life, though intertwined with Robert Redford's fame, increasingly became defined by her own achievements. After their separation in the early 1980s, Lola turned her focus toward her education, activism, and projects, building an identity independent of her former husband. While Redford continued his journey in Hollywood and later remarried, Van Wagenen dedicated herself to her causes, showing that her influence extended far beyond her connection to a movie star. Despite the end of their marriage, Lola has spoken with warmth and respect about Robert Redford. She has publicly described him as forever my beloved friend, a statement that reflects the deep connection they maintained even after divorce. This sentiment demonstrates a rare bond between two people who shared both joyous and tragic experiences, from raising children to mourning the loss of their first son, Scott. For Van Wagenen, Redford was not only a chapter in her personal history but a lifelong companion in spirit, even as they moved in different directions. Today, Lola Van Wagenen stands as a figure of independence, intellect, and commitment. She is more than Robert Redford's former wife. She is a historian, activist, educator, and storyteller whose contributions have left a lasting imprint. Her journey from Provo to the world stage embodies resilience and reinvention, showing how one can both honor the past and continue shaping the future. At first glance, the headline "You're Working With" feels engineered to shock. It promises that Robert Redford's ex-wife has revealed his disgusting relationship with Paul Newman. That's a dramatic charge. It pulls together three of Hollywood's most recognizable names and dares the audience to believe something that would upend decades of public narrative about these men. But when you strip the headline down and treat it like a claim to be tested rather than a story to be swallowed, a very different picture emerges. There is no credible record of Lola Van Wagenen ever making such a revelation. In every public statement, interview, and biographical account that is reliably documented, she is known as an activist, historian, and filmmaker in her own right, and while she has reflected on her life with Robert Redford with warmth and complexity, there is no substantiated assertion from her that Redford had any secret romantic or disgusting relationship with Paul Newman. What the historical record does show is that Redford and Newman were contemporaries and sometime co-stars, two men whose on-screen chemistry in classic films made them part of each other's public stories, but professional partnership and friendship are a long way from the lurid implication of your title. The relationship between Redford and Newman, as reflected in film history and public recollection, is best described as peer-to-peer admiration and occasional collaboration. They starred together in landmark films that cemented both of their places in cinema history, and they moved in overlapping social and professional circles for decades. That kind of closeness among contemporaries often breeds stories, anecdotes about long conversations, mutual respect, backstage moments where one supported the other. Those human elements are easy to spin into something salacious when a headline needs heat. But after reviewing what is actually on the record about both men, there is no widely accepted, well-documented claim that their relationship crossed into romance, and certainly no credible evidence tying Lola Van Wagenen to any such accusation. So where might a rumor like this come from? There are a few predictable engines that drive these kinds of stories. First, clickbait culture rewards shock. Editors and video creators notice that a dramatic personal allegation will pull more clicks than a sober recounting of careers and friendships, so they craft language to maximize outrage. Second, misattribution happens all the time. An offhand comment in an old interview, a misheard sentence, or an ambiguous anecdote about closeness can be rephrased and then repeated until it looks like a formal allegation. Third, conflation of separate facts is common. People confuse close professional relationship with romantic entanglement, and in the echo chamber of social media and low-quality outlets, those confusions fossilize into facts. Finally, intentional exaggeration for controversy or profit can't be ruled out. When a rumor brings traffic, there's an incentive to amplify it, and a false claim can travel far faster than a careful correction. If you're building a video around this allegation, the distinction between reporting what is claimed and endorsing it matters more than ever. Present the idea clearly as an allegation or a rumor, not as a documented revelation. State that you conducted a search of public interviews, memoir excerpts, obituaries, and authoritative biographies and found no verified source for the specific accusation that Lola Van Wagenen exposed a romantic relationship between Redford and Newman. Explain how Redford and Newman are historically connected, co-starring in influential films and moving in the same professional circles, and make it plain that professional closeness is not evidence of a sexual or romantic relationship. Lay out the alternative, more plausible origins of the headline: misquotation, tabloid rumor, internet sensationalism, or simple human error. That approach does two things for your audience. It preserves your credibility. Viewers respect when creators say "we found nothing to confirm this" and then show how they looked, and it lets you still tell a compelling story. You can explore why Hollywood myths persist, how celebrity narratives are constructed, and why audiences are so eager for hidden scandals. You can use the absence of evidence as a storytelling device. The mystery becomes less about a secret affair and more about the machinery that turns rumor into accepted truth. That's powerful material in its own right, and it lets you satisfy viewers' appetite for intrigue without spreading potentially defamatory claims. Finally, be mindful of the ethical and legal boundaries. Accusing living people of sexual or romantic misconduct without substantiation can cause real harm and could expose a creator to legal risk. Frame anything unverified clearly as rumor, invite viewers to supply verifiable sources if they have them, and emphasize respect for the reputations of people who cannot respond. If you follow that path, your coverage will be dramatic enough to hold attention while responsible enough to withstand scrutiny, and it will give viewers something more valuable than gossip: the skills to question the headlines they read. When trying to determine whether an explosive claim about a celebrity is worth believing, the first question we must ask is about credibility. Credibility rests on clear criteria: primary sources, independent reporting, consistency across accounts, and corroboration by multiple outlets with reputations for accuracy. A direct interview with the person in question, a memoir published under their own name, or statements preserved in video or audio form are examples of primary sources. When a claim only exists in obscure videos, clickbait websites, or unsourced social media posts, it fails the basic test of credibility. Independent reporting is another key marker. If one outlet publishes a story and others with no direct connection to it confirm the details, the information gains strength. By contrast, rumors that only circulate within a small ecosystem of gossip sites or YouTube videos often collapse under scrutiny. So why do sensational claims still spread when they lack such credibility? Part of the answer lies in the design of the internet. Viral content thrives on shock value. A headline that promises secret affairs, hidden betrayals, or disgusting revelations about a beloved star triggers an emotional response that leads to clicks, shares, and comments. Confirmation bias plays into this as well. Audiences who already suspect that Hollywood is full of secrets or who want to believe that even the most respected celebrities have hidden scandals are more likely to accept and spread a claim without verifying it. The role of sensational headlines cannot be overstated. Phrases like shocking confession or disgusting secret revealed are not just descriptive. They are engineered to bypass rational skepticism and hook the audience's emotions. Once hooked, many viewers or readers rarely look deeper than the headline itself. The promise of forbidden knowledge becomes more attractive than the reality of sober facts. This is why even unverified or fabricated claims can accumulate millions of views and persist online for years. Behind these headlines often lie very human motives. Some individuals or outlets chase attention, knowing that even negative publicity will increase their profile. Others act out of revenge or personal resentment, twisting half-truths into damaging narratives. Monetization is another powerful driver. Ad revenue from viral videos or high-traffic articles creates a direct financial incentive to keep the cycle of sensationalism alive. The more outrageous the claim, the more people will click, and the more money can be made. But these practices carry real consequences. At the most obvious level, they defame reputations, attaching scandal to people who may have lived their lives with integrity and leaving a permanent mark on their legacy. They mislead audiences, eroding the public's ability to distinguish between fact and rumor. Over time, this damages not just the individuals targeted but the credibility of journalism itself. When sensationalism drowns out careful reporting, the standards of truth-telling suffer, and audiences may grow cynical about all media, not just the guilty parties. In analyzing credibility and motives, it becomes clear that we are not only dealing with isolated stories but with a larger cultural dynamic. Audiences crave drama, creators feed that craving, and the truth is often lost in the process. The challenge for responsible storytellers is to acknowledge the allure of scandal while refusing to abandon the standards that separate fact from fiction. By applying criteria of credibility and recognizing the motives behind rumors, we can cut through the noise and give audiences something rarer and more valuable than gossip: clarity. Both Tom's story and the rumors surrounding Robert Redford share a striking similarity. They hinge on dramatic personal revelations emerging late in life. These narratives thrive on their shock value, promising hidden truths that challenge what audiences thought they knew about famous figures. Yet, when examined side by side, the credibility of these claims differs significantly. In Tom's case, the claim itself, while vague, at least surfaces in a context where memories, personal accounts, and interpretations of past events may play a role. However, the reporting lacks clarity, concrete details, and independent verification. Without solid evidence or multiple corroborating sources, it remains more of a personal assertion than a verifiable fact. Robert Redford's situation, on the other hand, goes even further. The claim attributed to him is not only extreme but also entirely unsupported by credible documentation. No reputable source has confirmed such a statement, and the weight of his long-established public record, career, and personal history stands in direct contradiction to the rumor. Here, the absence of evidence is especially damaging because the allegation risks defaming his reputation without any factual grounding. This contrast highlights broader lessons about celebrity culture, memory, and rumor. Both cases show how easily dramatic stories can spread when tied to well-known personalities, regardless of the truth. They also reveal how the public's fascination with late-life revelations creates fertile ground for rumors to grow. Yet, they differ sharply in the level of evidence required to take them seriously, and in the consequences they can have for legacies carefully built over decades. Ultimately, the comparison underscores a simple but vital point. While compelling narratives can attract attention, only verifiable evidence should shape how we understand a person's life and legacy. The spread of rumors raises pressing ethical concerns, particularly in the digital era where content travels quickly and widely. Content creators hold significant responsibility. Before publishing claims, especially about public figures, they must take care to verify facts through reliable, independent sources. Without this diligence, creators risk not only harming reputations but also undermining the integrity of their own work. One of the most serious risks is legal. Unverified or false allegations can cross into defamation or libel, leaving publishers open to lawsuits. Beyond the law, the personal consequences are considerable. False claims affect families, damage carefully built legacies, and erode the trust audiences place in media and journalism. Once a rumor is widely spread, retracting or correcting it rarely undoes the harm. Disclaimers are an important safeguard. Phrases such as asterisk, these are unverified claims, asterisk asterisk, viewer discretion advised, asterisk or asterisk, consult original sources, asterisk, remind audiences that not all information presented is factual. However, disclaimers are not a substitute for responsible journalism. They must accompany, not replace, careful source checking and ethical decision-making. Best practices in addressing rumors include citing sources clearly, linking to original evidence when available, and being transparent about what is known versus what remains speculation. By distinguishing fact from conjecture, content creators can prevent misleading narratives from being taken at face value. In the end, The ethical path is clear. The lure of sensational stories may promise views and clicks, but integrity, responsibility, and respect for truth should always guide the choices of those who publish and share information. As we close this discussion, let's step back and separate what we know from what remains uncertain. Tom Selleck's personal background, Robert Redford's 2 marriages, and Lola Van Wagenen's lifelong work as an activist and historian are all well documented. These facts come from reliable sources and form the backbone of their public legacies. What we do not have is credible evidence supporting the more sensational claims, whether Tom's vague confession or the alleged disgusting revelations about Redford and Newman. No mainstream reporting, interviews, or verified documents confirm these stories. They appear instead to be products of rumor, exaggeration, or outright invention. For viewers, the key takeaway is critical thinking. Don't accept every headline at face value. Ask yourself, where did this information come from? Is it corroborated by trustworthy outlets? Does it make sense in context? These questions help you filter fact from fiction in a world where sensationalism often drowns out truth. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever come across original interviews or sources related to these claims? If so, feel free to share them. Which of these so-called celebrity confessions do you find more plausible, if either? Finally, stay tuned for my next video, where I'll be exploring another Hollywood mystery, one that may have more substance than rumor. You won't want to miss it. Thanks so much for watching this deep dive into the lives, legacies, and rumors surrounding Robert Redford, Lola Van Wagenen, Paul Newman, and Tom Selleck. I appreciate you taking the time to join me in separating fact from speculation. The information presented here comes from a mix of reliable sources, public interviews, established biographies, reputable news outlets, and archival records. Wherever sensational claims lacked evidence, I've made sure to note that clearly. If you found this video useful, please give it a like, leave a comment with your own thoughts or sources, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss future uploads. Your feedback really helps keep these conversations thoughtful and engaging. On the end screen, you'll find links to related videos. Celebrity Confessions Analyzed Robert Redford, a complete biography and Tom Selleck's Untold Memoir Star. Check them out if you'd like to continue exploring Hollywood's hidden stories. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and I'll see you in the next video.